Hello everybody, it's Gill-boy here, and I just got back from the movie theater and watched Markiplier's Iron Lung, which is based off of a video game of the same name. Now, I just want to go ahead and say that I'm really happy for the success of this film, the success of the video game, and it's really inspiring, especially being a young content creator myself, to see that if you work hard enough and do this stuff, you can eventually get a big movie on the big screen at your local cinema. So that in of its own way is really cool, and it also shows that you can make a really good, decent film with not necessarily a massive budget, but you know how to spend that budget well to create a good overall film, right? So with that segue, I'll just go ahead and say that I really like this film. I thought it was great. For it being someone's first film, not a bad start. Not a bad spot. I don't think that the film was necessarily perfect, but I thought it was really good, and it captured hopelessness, dread, the overwhelming sense of dread and that kind of cosmic unease. This was a very Lovecraftian cosmic horror film that was very psychological and dealt with themes of claustrophobia, isolation, loneliness, and of course hopelessness, and even having to face one's own sins in the face of some kind of unknowable, eldritch, demonic, cosmic horror, right? So I would recommend this film if you are a fan of the Cthulhu mythos or if you're a fan of the video game. I haven't really played the video game, but I've seen playthroughs of it and I've watched some lore videos on it, and I can say that this film was made in adoration and love and respect of all of that, and really captured cool, memorable parts in the game and stuff like that. So this also just kind of proves all those, and I've been hearing this my whole life, you can't make a good movie based off of a video game, and I've never believed that is true. Now, that being said, almost every video game film adaptation has been absolute garbage, right? There are a few little hidden gems there, but they're not really worth that much if you try to sell them, if you get my drift. However, I would have to say that this is, I think, the best video game film adaptation we have, really. And I am partial to the first Silent Hill film. I think that's also a really good video game film. It's not perfect, obviously, but neither is this film, but it's got the love and the passion for the source material, and it wants to respect it and honor it and tell its own story, and it's very much the same with Iron Lung. And I think it's just really cool to see that a YouTuber can be this successful and kind of publicly shame Hollywood, because I mean, Hollywood is just, it's on its death knell. Somebody just needs to go ahead and put it out of its misery, and from the ashes of that old industry of film needs to be a new kind of more American film industry to take its place, to allow actually creative people to tell stories that are original, because this is a very original story. I think it's great. If you are unaware of the plot, it's basically in the future, there's this thing that they call the remaining humans that are alive, call the Quiet Rapture. Basically, they wake up one day and all the stars and the planets are pretty much gone, except for a few moons or a few planets here, and the only remnants of humanity were the humans that lived on space stations. And then some of these space stations are prisoners, and they send these prisoners on this Iron Lung, this submarine, onto this on this moon that is a blood moon. Basically, it's made out of actual blood. It's like an ocean of blood, and they're sending this convict here to go and get test samples, take pictures, and try to discover if there's any answers to this event known as the Quiet Rapture, right? And without giving any spoilers, of course, he stumbles upon cosmic horrors and all kinds of cool stuff, and it's really, really, really awesome. I would pair this film with Underwater. Funny enough, I think that those would be a good double feature, and they both are very Lovecraftian and have their own sense of claustrophobia and fear of the unknown and feeling insignificant in the greater scheme of the cosmos. I would say that Iron Lung is very nihilistic in some ways, but then kind of transcends nihilism into cosmicism towards the end of the film. And I have to say, as a fan of like Cthulhu mythos and Lovecraft's work, I really love this film, you know. But in saying that, it's kind of like, are we actually going to get a Cthulhu movie? You know, like, how many times are we going to get Cthulhu, but it's not Cthulhu? You know, it's like, can we kind of just go ahead and get that already? It's kind of like, that's the only kind of, if I had to say one bad thing about this film, it's like, I just want to see Cthulhu already, you know? Like, can we not get a good Cthulhu movie? I mean, this was a good film, but it's kind of like, you know, I would rather see The Great Cthulhu, you know what I'm saying? But in saying that, this is a great film. Don't hear what I'm not saying. The creature in this film, or this entity, this great old one, per se, looked really scary. And I you know, have fear of water creatures. This is why I can't have any mirrors when I'm in the shower, because I scare myself. But water creatures, man, they are really scary and terrifying, and to think of something being that big and able to just eat you and mess with you and all that kind of stuff is really scary for me. So I'd have to say, I thought the camera angles and the cinematography for this was really good. It really felt, man, the shots of just feeling so in this small enclosed room, the tightness of the face and the hands and everything that we saw, and then the lighting of the film was perfect. This was perfectly lit, and it's like there's scenes that are just so dark that the only time you see light is when he takes a photo, and then of course the photo is really bright and shiny, right? And then it shows you this horrific kind of demonic fish thing, right? And it's really scary, and it's done really, really, really well. And so without getting into spoilers too much or whatever, I guess the color palettes on this is really good. There's a lot of reds and browns and just everything just feels so dirty, you know. And as far as the acting goes, Markiplier can actually act. You know, that's one thing that I was interested in seeing this, is like, is he just going to come across like Markiplier, or is he going to be like an actual like kind of character, right? And thank God it actually was very much like a character, and I laughed and I felt sorry for him, and his fear, which I have to say, if you are an actor or you know anything about acting, it's really hard to act afraid, like to show genuine fear. That's something that's really hard to do for most actors, and it's just difficult to remain in that kind of intensity, because, you know, it's not just one take, it's multiple takes throughout the day, right? And I have to say, all the scenes with him being afraid, I felt it, man. It freaked me out. Like, you know, the tension of this film was perfect, and the editing, I thought, was also really well. And I know, just to kind of get into the plot later and kind of talk about spoilers here soon, I just want to address some of the criticism I've heard of this film. I've heard that it doesn't really make sense, and like the plot doesn't. And I really just feel like maybe you just don't understand the story. Like, I don't know, it made perfect sense to me. Yeah, there was a little bit of heavy exposition scenes, but you kind of have to have that for these kind of films, you know. And I guess you could argue, well, there could be better written exposition scenes, but I didn't think it was that bad, you know. I thought it kind of puts you in the universe really well, and, you know, I kind of feel like, you know, if you don't know, like I said, if I wouldn't have known anything about the game, I would still come in here and understood what was happening. Like, I would have understood the world and the universe. I may not have appreciated some of the little Easter eggs or, you know, references to certain things in the game, but I still understood the storyline and could tell you the entire plot, right? It's not that difficult. So I just kind of feel like those are just haters online. Who knows? Maybe it is paid bots. Who knows these days, right? But anyways, I thought it was overall a good film. I would probably rate it like maybe, I want to say like an 8 out of 10, but I mean, it was kind of, I would say 9 out of 10, because I feel like by the time, like tomorrow when I'm thinking about the film, I think it'll really start continuing to mess with you, kind of thing. And I think it's definitely one of those films, the more you think about and stew on it, the greater the horror becomes. And that's very much kind of how it is, like when you read Lovecraft, you know. You read his scary stories about Cthulhu and Dagon, and and knocks it off, and then, you know, it's scary when you watch it, and then after you've done read it and a couple days go by, you're still thinking about it and being like, oh, how would that be if that kind of creature existed? How would that affect me and the rest of the cosmos, stuff like that? So that's kind of what I'm talking about. So I kind of will probably lean more towards a 9, but as of now, first impressions kind of like a very strong high 8 to low 9 right now. And I'd like to see it again and see how well it ages. I definitely think we have a cult classic on our hands, for sure. And I'm happy to see, like I said, Markiplier's success. I'm happy to see a fellow YouTuber's success in reaching it. You know, that is the dream and really awesome. And I'm all for Lovecraftian horror films. I mean, this is a perfect Lovecraft film. If you like cosmic horror and eldritch horror and all that stuff, go see this film. Please support it while it's still in theaters and while you have the chance. So, to get into kind of some of the spoilers here, so if you don't want any, I'll see you guys on my next movie review. But then please, you know, come back and hear what I have to say after you've seen it, of course. So until then, I'll see you then. But I would have to say, we're going into spoilers now, the entity is pretty much like Cthulhu in a way. The way it manipulates you mentally and emotionally and all that kind of stuff. But it kind of looks more like Dagon if he had no skin. It's very like, you know, kind of an indescribable looking creature with eyes and teeth and mouths. I mean, it's very, you know, nightmare fuel. It's definitely an upgrade from like the angler kind of fish in the game, although I still think that creature's cool or whatever. And I just really thought it was just cool, like the storyline, how like somehow this moon had some kind of like this mysterious gateway light that looked like this kind of angelic being, like this unknowable being of light, right? Kind of like this, and it's also heavily talking about how it's like a portal or something like that. It had some kind of it's like a fragment of this quiet rapture of everything getting erased, and in fact it's actually referred to as God, right? And like this entity, and it's kind of like this thing kind of guards it, so you get this kind of like creepy thing in the occult with the demon Leviathan, you know, the guardian of the void, the keeper of the abyss, who will rise and blot out the sun. And they even have a line where that the entity's talking about how like none will ever see the sun again. So it's like it took all the lights away, you know. So it's very kind of like super kind of demonic and scary, and just totally makes the character feel even more tinier, you know. And then you get that creepy shot where it's like he's been in the mouth of the creature the whole time, like whenever the ship is acting weird and all that. Oh, it's just so well, the build up to this big reveal of this kind of Cthulhu entity, you know, kind of remaking the universe, I guess, in a way, or restarting it and stuff. And I think in the lack of explanation on some stuff is where, you know, you get the cosmic horror. If you have everything explained to you, it starts not becoming scary. That's where the horror is that it doesn't necessarily make sense, or it, you know, you can't comprehend it, so therefore there's the fear, right? And I mean, man, it's a claustrophobic movie, man. So if you have fear of water, claustrophobia, and Cthulhu monsters, this is probably not going to be an easy viewing for you. But it's a really good time. So I hope you go see it and like it. And I really kind of want to go see it again. And honestly makes me want to buy the game and play it and maybe stream and hang out with you guys. I probably will. We'll probably shoot for that sometime around August, or maybe even in October. How about that? Because hopefully the movie will be out, and hopefully we'll show it on the panel, you know, Spooky Fam. I think this would be a great Spooky Fam film. I know we're about to show Underwater, so I hope you all come and see that. It's a really good, fun time, you know. So until then, stay salty, stay spooky. Bye, everyone.